UFC 322 has just been announced, and Merab Dvalishvili is making history with this one. 4 title defenses in 1 year has never been done. Win or lose, he'll be the first to attempt it, but he's winning, right? I mean, he's fighting Petr Yan, and we'll see if Yan can get into second gear this time, but man, I don't know. Merab is such a tough stylistic matchup for him. He's definitely going to improve, but I don't know if it's sufficient enough to claim victory here, but it's great to see these two actually fighting each other in December. December 6th in the T-Mobile Arena is where they're headlining the card, so that is the main event. You gotta love Merab, man. He is literally trying to, I don't know, speedrun GOAT status as well. But funny enough, he found out about this fight just like all of us did. He was doing an interview with Ariel Helwani, and Ariel had to tell him, which is quite interesting because you would think that they would tell the fighters about their fights before announcing it. But Merab spoke about the details. So he's the one who requested the fight. The guy is a lunatic. 2 title defenses within 2 months? This has rarely ever been done before, right? Davison Figueiredo fought 2 title defenses within like 3 weeks. But this is super unique, dude. Champions rarely defend this often. Cherish Merab as he's still around because whoever the next champion is probably not going to replicate that frequency. But then Merab said that the UFC told him that they're going to be working on it, and they relayed the message that Yan didn't have a visa. So perhaps Merab imagined that, he's going to fight next year or something, but then they announced the fight in December. What happened with Yan's visa? Who knows? But regardless, the fight is happening. Great main event to see Merab perform. I like Petr Yan, but let's be honest, man, we saw the first fight and it was Merab's most dominant performance in his career. And even with Yan's improvements, he's definitely going to improve. I don't see how he wins this. I think he has the same chances of victory as everybody else. He has to just knock him out. He has to land a flying knee and uppercut something, because winning on the scorecards against Merab is pretty much hopeless. You have to finish him. Merab smothering pressure in that first round is going to stifle Yan before he gets his reads to capitalize with. Just like before. I think Yan is going to perform better because he's just improved, but so has Merab. Merab is somehow climbing from the peak of the mountain, improving from where he is. He can submit you, he can hurt you with his strikes. Now, that monster who destroyed Yan previously somehow became stronger, dude. This is not the same Merab that he fought before, and sure, this isn't the same Yan, but I don't think Merab cares what version of Yan is in there. It's all the same. They all wilt the same under that Merab pressure. Merab's cardio could probably keep him up with fish in the ocean, dude. The guy is seemingly unstoppable. Yan is going to have to respect now the finishing potential of Merab as he's more offensively potent than ever before. Yeah, I like to see Merab perform, but as a fight itself, to be honest, I think it's going to be a dominating performance. Merab is the kryptonite to Petr Yan, and I believe Yan could beat pretty much everybody else. Besides Umar, maybe. Umar might be the second best, but we'll see. Yan is at an incline with his skills right now. He's better than ever. But this is the one guy who happens to be the very best of the division, the champion, that runs him over like a train. But the co-main event is a second title fight. Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van. This was leaked on the last Fight Night card, as Joshua Van's training partner, Michael Aswell, pretty much announced the fight before Dana did. So that probably got Dana to expedite the official announcement. This is a great one, man. Pantoja's another dominant force in the UFC. Joshua Van's one of the few fighters he hasn't faced yet. He's potentially the best striker Pantoja has ever fought, but has he leveled up his grappling enough to thwart the takedowns and, more importantly, get up from the bottom without getting his back taken? I don't think so, to be honest. He's been taken down multiple times by multiple opponents. Pantoja's one of the best wrestlers in the division, and he has the best jiu-jitsu. But for as long as the fight stays standing, Joshua Van should do pretty well. I think he has an advantage there, even with Pantoja being ultra aggressive. But I ultimately think Pantoja is just the better fighter in there, and I think his grappling is going to set them apart. And so far, Pantoja has the most consecutive title defenses currently, with 4. If he beats Joshua Van, there is nobody left for him to fight at the moment, unless Manel Kape could defeat Brandon Royval. And then a light heavyweight fight got announced, Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. Now, Jan is being used as a stepping stone. He is 42, he's the oldest fighter in the rankings. And Guskov is the next generation trying to make a name for himself. By beating Jan Blachowicz, he definitely will succeed in that, as Jan is the most underrated fighter probably in light heavyweight history. The last guy who beat him definitively was Glover Teixeira. Alex had a tough fight with him, Ankalaev drew with him, and Coles Olberg had a tough fight with him. I believe we're going to see a similar pattern here with Guskov having a difficult fight. He might actually lose, but it depends on how Jan Blachowicz performs. What version are we getting here? He is declining, but slowly. He's still a high-level fighter, but Can he handle the punching power and the reckless, chaotic style that Guskov brings into the octagon? Hands low, but tries to open his opponent's defenses for him to deliver with that knockout power. He's fast, he's a sniper, but becomes defenseless in some of those exchanges, and Jan is known for his defense. Can Guskov succeed there? Or with him keeping his hands low, will Jan land that knockout shot, chop the base with leg kicks, get Guskov to get reckless in the moment, and then check him with the left hook? That could be the sequence, but it should be a good striking match, and I really don't know who's going to win this. Jan has a technical and experience advantage, but Guskov is riding some strong momentum here, so should be a great one. And then in the bantamweight division, we have the number 10 ranked Henry Cejudo versus the unranked Payton Talbott. I did not expect this fight, not only for the UFC to match them up, but for Henry to accept it. Why would Henry accept a non-ranked opponent and not someone like, I don't know, Vinicius Oliveira or David Martinez or someone who's lower in the rankings? Because Cejudo has expressed his desire of fighting guys who bring some sort of prestige or excitement to a fight. And I guess Talbott, even though unranked, has garnered an impressive amount of fans. Perhaps that's what Cejudo is excited about for this fight. Even though Talbott's unranked, he is one of the more popular bantamweight fighters, at least across social media. But is his wrestling good enough? He lost to Raoni Barcelos because of the wrestling, but then beat Felipe Lima. Is he ready to step up to the next level? Multiple levels ahead, actually, against Cejudo. Cejudo's definitely not in his prime. He's a good fighter still. He has maintained that wrestling prowess, but Payton Talbott being the far bigger fighter. I mean, he's 5'10", long reach, has knockout power. The striking can be difficult for Cejudo, unless he is faster to land the right hand or something like that. But obviously, Cejudo's wrestling is the path to success. And we can see Talbott's progress from the Barcelos fight to the Lima fight. His wrestling greatly improved, but there hasn't been enough to observe that tells us that Talbott will defend Cejudo's takedowns. Unless we trust the process, right? Unless we just trust Talbott's progression. And sort of like Jan Blachowicz, Cejudo is being used as a stepping stone as well. So with Talbott winning, he'll be making his ranking debut, right? For the first time, he'll be ranked in the top 15, as many of us foresaw. His potential is very high, and we all thought eventually he will be ranked. I never thought him fighting Cejudo would have been the path to get there, but I thought they will match him up with more strikers to cater to his style, but giving him Cejudo is quite an interesting move. If he can defend Cejudo's takedowns, I think he does pretty well against the other wrestlers. Other than Merab, of course, nobody beats him. So this should be a very interesting one, man. Can Cejudo handle the reach and power of Talbott? And can Talbott handle the wrestling of Cejudo? Cejudo has experience fighting some of the best fighters in the world, but specifically, has he ever fought a powerful striker like Talbott? Yes, twice. He fought prime Marlon Moraes. Cannot emphasize prime enough. He actually beat the best version of Moraes, who was terrifying at the time. He beat him, but then lost to Song Yadong in a very close decision. Even after the full onslaught against his eyes, he did well against Yadong. So he has had to deal with that sort of power before. But the 5'10" and 71-inch reach, that combination creates a different dynamic. I cannot wait to see this fight. That and the Jan fight, I think, have the highest probability of being the most competitive on the card. But there is also another fight. Now, this was not announced by Dana, but Brandon Moreno is going to be fighting Tatsuro Taira on that card as well. Now, we had hints that this fight was going to happen, but it's great to see that it's on the same card, and this most likely completes the main card. Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan is the main event. Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van is the co-main event. This fight is probably the next one. Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira, then Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov, and I think the opener to the main card is Henry Cejudo versus Payton Talbott, where they've had Talbott open up a pay-per-view main card before. So this seems to be your main card, and it's so stacked. What an invigorating card, dude. I can't wait for it, because Moreno versus Taira is an interesting fight, although honestly, even with how good Taira's grappling is, I don't think he has the ability to strangle up Moreno. Moreno is tricky on the ground as well, and he has the far better striking. That is the main distinction. Taira has some power in his hands, but technically he's not on Moreno's level. Moreno has an excellent jab. He has fluid combinations, an excellent lead body kick. He has a great ability to reset the striking if it isn't going his way due to his footwork. Avoiding the jab is going to be such a difficult task for Taira. He's going to shoot takedowns, Moreno's going to scramble with him, get up at every possible opening, and keep the fight standing for the entirety. But it should be a great fight. Taira is improving, so maybe he'll surprise us with his striking. And then finally, the last fight that got announced so far, this is going to be the 6th fight on the card, and probably your, prelim headliner, or just somewhere on the prelims. Ziam versus Nazim Sadikov. I can already tell this is going to be the sleeper of the card, bro. Both guys on long undefeated streaks. Ziam is coming off a 5-fight win streak. And Nazim Sadikov His only loss is his first MMA fight. That's a 12-fight unbeaten streak. He had a draw against Slava Claus, but both guys are surging through this lightweight division. And hopefully with the winner, they get someone ranked. I thought Ziam was going to fight someone ranked because he beat Jai Herbert, knocked Matt Ravola out cold, and then beat Mike Davis. These guys are all within like the top 20, top 25, if that was formulated. But that's where they would lie, I think. And he beat 3 of them. I thought that would have been enough for him to fight someone ranked like a Grant Dawson, Michael Chandler, or something like that. But he's getting another tough, unranked fighter. Nazim Sadikov also beat Ishmael Bonfim. He beat Terrence McKinney, who defeated Ziam. Nicholas Mata's a decent fighter, and so Slava Claus and Evan Elder. Like, he's beating some solid competition. The striking between these two is going to be insane. Technical chess match with a bit of intensity thrown in there. Because of Sadikov's style, he's going to bring the fight to Ziam. Ziam can point fight, he could stay on the outskirts and just pot shot, snipe away, but Sadikov is not going to allow that. He needs to bring a fire fight to Ziam. I think that's his best chance of victory, and Ziam's best chance is to keep the fight as far away as possible. I think as the intensity rises, Sadikov is going to be pulling ahead, but he has to be the one that causes that. I can't wait for this one, dude. This is a great fight, bro. Banger fights on this UFC 323 card. And there's more to come. That's potentially only half the card. So the rest of it is going to be prelims. It looks like our main card is complete. And it's a banger, dude. I cannot wait for this card, bro. We do have to get through some duds. UFC 321 is a good card, with the exception of the co-main event. But the rest of it's great. We have some fight nights. UFC 322 is a banger as well. The UFC Fight Night in Qatar is taking the spot as possibly the best fight night of the entire year, with Arman vs. Hooker and then Bilal vs. Gary and many other great fights throughout. But then UFC 323 might be the last pay-per-view of the year. It's not confirmed, but we're anticipating 324 beginning the Paramount era. So 323 is potentially ending the year for pay-per-views. And what do you guys think about the card? Rating it out of 10? I'd give it like a 7 out of 10 pay-per-view, because I think 322 is better as like an 8 or a 9. And if 300 or UFC 217 is a 10 out of 10, then this is probably like a 7. And which fights are you guys most excited for? I'm going to be honest, I am most excited for Cejudo vs. Talbott. I think it's the most competitive fight on the card. And I also really like Ziam vs. Sadikov. Merab vs. Ziam is great. The 2 title fights are great, but I could be wrong. But off of first thought, I think they're going to be somewhat one-sided. But I'll break down the fights more for the predictions of the card. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which is going to be the podcast.